A high-pitched cry for help by problematic_Lana on AO3. Chapter 12. The question. It wasn't an immediate response. The video started just fine with some minor appearance of Mike in the background. He had been a flashy student, and already had some following during his student years because of the radio station he and some others made in UA. So when he debuted, there were already people wanting to watch the voice hero. The video was filmed by the media. It was a low-class villain too, so the level of violence shown was about right to show a 6-year-old. No blood, no gore, no deaths involved. So, the couple was not expecting Izuku's reaction at all. He seemed excited at first, but the second Mike used his quirk, everything changed. The kid flinched hard. The sound wasn't that loud either. Should have made sure to lower the volume of the video, so why? Izuku's eyes started watering, and in a mere seconds, he was crying a whole waterfall. He closed his eyes and covered his ears. The plate he used a few minutes ago ended on the floor when he tried backing up to get away from the electronic. He was having a complete meltdown, his cheeks full of tears, and somehow he remained quiet. He was biting his lip pretty hard, and soon felt the metallic taste fill his mouth. Whoa, whoa! Mike shoved everything aside. Are you all right there, He was stopped on his tracks. Both tiny hands were quickly moved to cover the blonde's mouth. His eyes showed a silent plea for him to not say anything, still crying profusely and shaking his head. The room stayed silent. Yamada didn't remove his hand, and instead stayed still, looking confused, but calmed nonetheless. Aizawa moves both hands up, letting him see every movement to not surprise him. He then signed. He's not going to scream. But Izuku wasn't watching him. He was watching Yamada, not even blinking. So, Aizawa persisted, this time talking and hoping for a better reaction. He is not going to scream, kiddo. He then turned to look at him, utter terror on his face. Both pro-heroes noticed how Izuku was looking at his ears, searching for something that wasn't there. When he decided that Hisashi wasn't going to explode, he let him go, his hands shaky, retrieving from his face. I won't talk. Yamada signed, not feeling confident enough to say anything. The kid was still crying, hyperventilating even. He was moving his hand from one side to another, not finding the correct one. So, he fingerspelled C-U-R-S-E. Both adults in the room looked at each other, not really knowing what to think. Yamada knew not to take it to heart. Izuku was so young, after all. Aizawa thought about the word, trying to make sense of the situation. But at the moment, calming the kid down was more important. He was crying hard enough for him to worry about his breathing, his injuries, probably aggravating the issue. He moved even closer to him, placing a tiny hand on his chest and his larger one on top. Copy my breathing, okay? For a second there, he was sure the kid was gonna pass out from lack of oxygen. But after some minutes, he was breathing slower and his sobs were softer. Can you tell us what is wrong? His voice was so soft that it was barely audible. Izuku took his time again, clearly still recovering from all the crying, but then looked at Yamada, who had a soft expression. For once, he didn't feel the need to hide the cry, and although it was something good, he wished to stop crying at all. He tried explaining something that not even he knew for sure. So, he made it simple. You cursed, and I cursed. He then ended the sentence by pointing to his ears and making the sign for blood. As if the statement wasn't creepy and concerning enough, he then proceeded to put one finger on his lip, as if something to keep a secret. What the hell was that all about? How do you even respond to it? Did this kid's parents tell him horror stories before bed or something? Because whatever was going on was really nightmare material. For what felt like an eternity, No one said anything. Izuku was looking awkward and moved towards Yamada, crawling into his lap and forcefully giving him a hug. From the outside, it was really obvious that Izuku didn't want that kind of interaction, almost as if he was doing it for Mike and not for himself. Was he somehow trying to comfort him? He decided to simply accept the very weird hug and hug him back, looking back at his husband and mouthing a very alarmed OMG. His eyes so open that they would pop out any second. Aizawa waited, deeply disturbed by whatever was going on. He used the 3 minutes that the hug lasted to plan what to say next. Kid, do you know what my quirk is? Izuku, who was now a lot calmer, but still a little shaken, didn't respond. I can erase people's quirks. He pointed towards the voice hero, including his quirk. Do you know what his quirk is? This time, Izuku seemed to put 2 and 2 together. Quirkless. Well, that was even more confusing. Curse and quirkless. He is not quirkless, Izuku. What you saw is his quirk. He could almost see the gears working in his head, so focused that, for once, he stopped crying. Do you know what this curse you talk about is? Where did you hear that? He saw a frown growing on the kid's face, pure confusion. Unconsciously, still fingerspelling curse. Was it that ingrained in his brain? Mom said I have curse. Yamada's face turned grim, as if hearing the news of the kid being poorly treated was personal. It was just at that moment that he realized, before his husband, what the kid meant. Everything laid out so clearly in front of him now. Maybe he even had more answers than questions. He wanted to say so much, but he decided to test where they were at, trying so hard to put his own grief and pain aside. He looked at the kid tenderly. Izuku, he said, voice a very soft whisper. The kid was alarmed, but didn't try anything this time. You can do that too. He pointed to the computer on the ground. If you can do that, it's not a curse, baby. The term of endearment just did the trick. The kid started profusing some fat tears again, and the sight was just so heartbreaking because he refused to let them flow freely. It's just a curse. No curse? He didn't seem all that sure, but he also was trying so hard to have an explanation, anything that would give him a chance in life. There are no curses, honey. And his own eyes filled with tears too. It's just that some quirks are hard to control. That's all. By that time, the kid was already beginning to sob again. I don't think you're quirkless either, kiddo. Aizawa tuned in, slowly guiding his hand to his head. The kid didn't even notice him patting his head. The night I found you, he began, testing the waters. I was able to erase something, and I think you felt it too. He looked at him, a half smile, as he stretched his matted hair. I can only erase quirks, and I think that was one. No, quirkless, he said, his facade fading apart. These were almost strangers in his eyes. Why were they so soft, so kind? Why did no one else talk to him like that? I don't think so. No. He paused, not wanting to give the kid the wrong idea. But even if you were, you're not cursed, Izuku. The kid started trembling so hard that for a second, he thought he was about to have another meltdown. To his surprise, the kid looked at him, eyes full of tears, in a dream looking right through his soul. He could finally say his question. Can I be a hero too? The answer was just in front of his eyes, but he wanted to hear it. He wanted someone to believe in him as much as he believed in Kachan. He wanted someone to tell him that getting to 30 was not as far as he could get. He wanted someone to tell him He could do anything to put his mind into it. Yes, Bunny. Yamada responded, no lies in his eyes. You can be a hero too, Aizawa added. And like that, they all melted into a hug that lasted far longer than it took for the kid to calm down. He knew then that with this people's support, he could be a hero too. I'm not crying. You're crying. I don't know what you're talking about. But that's what I said, that obviously we're not going to have all ups and there is going to be downs, right? This was technically a down and then we got an up, right? He took a step back and now he's taking 2 steps forward. And I love that. Oh, I love that. And I love how Izuku's like, I'm not cursed. And no, you're not cursed. And it hurts my soul because it is so engraved to him that he was finger spelling curse without even realizing it. He is so embedded in his head that he is cursed and quirkless, that he is worthless. And on top of that, he is this cursed monster, right? He probably thinks he's like a monster and evil, to the point where when he saw that Hisashi had that Yamada had this, that Mike had this, he told Mike not to talk in fear of Mike hurting, Aizawa and him, right? Which, that hurts because obviously Izuku clearly cares about people and he is so scared that he himself is going to hurt others. He thought of himself as a villain, and that it hurts my soul. Okay. I really hope that you guys are taking care of yourselves and doing something nice after this, or just going straight to the next chapter and binging it if the next chapter is out already. I'm gonna take a breather. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server is down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.